So we recently got a new chapter of One Punch Man, which was chapter 137, and in that chapter we got some information about Blast, and more importantly we got more information about Tatsumaki. So I felt like it was only right to make kind of an updated version of an explained of Tatsumaki, since we got some brand new information on her. But before we start the video, I would really appreciate it if you dropped a like on the video and watched the video till the end. And Happy New Year! I only started releasing videos seriously on this channel like a month ago, and we got up to 170 subscribers, which is great. And yes, I'm recording this video on January the 1st, and by the way, January is my birthday month, so yeah, happy birthday to me. But anyway, Tatsumaki has been a fan favorite in the One Punch Man community for all sorts of reasons, but the most prevalent reason being she's pretty damn cool, and she also has some impressive moments in the series despite her not actually having a crazy amount of screen time in the anime. So Tatsumaki is an Esper just like her sister Fubuki, and despite her height she is actually 28 years old, which at first definitely surprised me. But the most impressive part of Tatsumaki is her feats. So Tatsumaki is ranked second out of all the S-class heroes, meaning after Blast she's actually the strongest hero, and considering the fact that Blast is pretty much MIA most of the time, Tatsumaki is pretty much number one. But now before I actually go over her feats, let's just talk about the brand new information about Tatsumaki we got in chapter 137 of the manga. So if you are not caught up with the One Punch Man manga, then skip ahead or just leave the video. You have been warned. But in the recent chapter we found out that Tatsumaki as a child was actually in an experimentation facility being tested on, and in this flashback we see that a monster escaped one of the laboratories and was chasing the other scientists. And this monster, from the looks of it, seems like probably a demon or maybe a high wolf, but this monster was rampaging around and it actually breaks into Tatsumaki's cell where she's being held captive. And obviously this young Tatsumaki calls out for help, but these scientists just abandon her and say she's not valuable. But as soon as this monster was about to attack her, Blast defeats this monster and tells Tatsumaki to come out. And I don't know where Blast came from or what he's even doing in the facility, but he is the one that saved Tatsumaki, and Blast is talking to Tatsumaki and asks why she hasn't used her psychic powers. And from the statement you could assume that Blast may actually be part of the Esper race, because Espers can only sense other Espers. It's literally a fact, but this may just be a mistake, or it may actually be something that could be true. But Blast proceeds to say he works as a hero and this job is more of a hobby to him rather than an actual job, and he actually states that he has another job apart from being a hero. This really does remind me of Saitama, and I'm pretty sure when you all read this, Saitama popped into all your heads, which I'm pretty sure Murata and One wanted to happen. But anyway, after this, Blast proceeds to tell Tatsumaki to protect her sister and to not expect someone to always come and save her, which is probably why firstly Tatsumaki is so protective of her sister, and why secondly right before the flashback we hear Tatsumaki say those exact words Blast said to her, which obviously means she really took those words to heart and made it almost like a principle to follow, which obviously means she has a lot of respect for Blast, which makes sense because Blast saved her life pretty much against the monster that Tatsumaki at the time probably wouldn't have been able to beat easily. So from this chapter we see why Tatsumaki at times seems like she wants to take on everything by herself, and why she doesn't like being saved in general. So apart from that, that's pretty much all the information we got in that chapter about Tatsumaki. And from that chapter alone, I do believe we might actually start getting more information about other characters we don't see a lot in the series. But I also feel like the main reason we got a backstory for Tatsumaki is because she has been a very important figure in the current arc. Tatsumaki has been the one fighting against Saikorochi and carrying the other heroes to safety. So it makes sense as to why we got more information about her in this chapter. But anyway, now we've covered the new information about Tatsumaki, let's move on to stating some of the feats she has shown so far in the series. Because believe it or not, Tatsumaki only started showing most of her abilities in her fight against Saikorochi, because Any mission before this, she didn't really have to use much of her power at all. So most of the abilities she's shown in this arc are abilities we have not seen her use before. So one of Tatsumaki's abilities is psychokinesis, which allows her to fly and move any object around at her will, which is obviously very impressive because Tatsumaki herself is the strongest Esper in the series, which means she could probably move pretty much anything from as big as a city to as small as a person or animal. Another one of Tatsumaki's abilities is to create psychic barriers. An example of this is when she created a huge one around majority of City Z after lifting up the Monster Association hideout. Tatsumaki also surprisingly has great endurance and great speed and reflexes. An example of her great endurance is her still being able to keep up this large barrier covering City Z whilst fighting Saikorochi and taking damage during the fight. So which to me is really impressive to say the least. Tatsumaki can also use other techniques like psychic binding, which suppresses the psychic power of other espers. But apart from that, those are pretty much all of Tatsumaki's major abilities. And I'm sure we still have not seen all of her abilities yet. There's still many more abilities I feel like Tatsumaki has that she has not shown yet in the series. And that's pretty much all I have for this video. If you like the video, then make sure you leave a like and subscribe with notifications turned on and set to all so you never miss a video when I upload one. And apart from that, I will see you in my next video.